Welcome back to episode 11 of Bodies, Barbells and Bagels. How you going, Jazzy?
How you going?
How you going?
I'm alright.
You alright?
I love the way you say bodies, barbells and bagels. So
You're meant to finish that there.
Oh, well, you did it for me.
I know. I'm sorry. How are you?
I'm very good. I just got back from the gym. My legs are cramping and a little bit of a juicy pump, but I'm good.
Excellent.
To train them their legs, you know.
Them their legs. So what are you doing with your training at the moment? What's your goal?
Same as every bloke. Just want to be
Gains?
huge. Yeah.
Gains?
Trying to be huge, getting gains. And semi-succeeding, I suppose.
Yes.
Not too bad. But because it's the end of summer and I don't really care so much about being super shredded and lean, I'm allowing a small amount of the old chub to come on if need be.
Yeah.
Because fat's easy to lose and muscle
For some.
For some, actually. For my skinny
Let's
ass.
preface that for all the ladies with the damaged metabolisms out there.
All these ladies just spat out their tea.
Oh, it's
or
easy to
whatever.
lose for some, is it?
Fucking not listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
For us guys, we have testosterone, so it's easier for us guys to lose weight.
Easy. Yeah.
But it's hard to gain muscle. So I don't mind if, say, you put on 10 kilos of weight and 2 or 3 of it is fat, then you've done fucking well.
Yeah.
You know, I think last off season I put on 20 kilos of fat and probably 1 or 2 kilos of muscle, so I don't want to do that again. But yeah, I'm enjoying my training, just deloading my legs this week, pushing hard on my upper body because I need to bring them up to match my legs. Because I train my legs really hard, I think, and I don't train my upper body as hard because I hate training arms because it's thoroughly boring. Hence why I have noodle arms.
What is your most hated body part to train?
Pretty much what I just said, arms.
Arms.
I'm quite enjoying
But
it
like
now.
biceps or triceps, which is worse?
I would honestly say my triceps do grow. Because, like, you know, when I'm lean, I get quite feathered and horseshoe-looking triceps. So I do have some form of tricep, but I don't have any bicep. Well, I didn't. They've grown since you took the piss out of me for the last 3 years of our relationship.
Yeah, this is a life hack, guys. If you want someone to fix something about themselves, just tease them and bully them until they change.
Until you cry every night, and then you have to go to the gym and sort it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
3 years of you
Bullying.
taking the piss
Bullying
out of
does
me.
the job.
Yeah. Basically, I needed my biceps to be at the same peak as my shoulders. So I've been training shoulders less and biceps more.
I do say that kidding. I'm not an asshole, but it's true as a coach. When you're looking at a client, you need to be honest with someone. You can't just be like, oh, yeah, your physique's great. No, you need to be like, no, your shoulders are overpowering your biceps or your biceps are overpowering your chest. Like, be realistic when you look at a physique.
I even think with your mates. You know, you've got those guys in the gym that there's one guy that looks all right and the rest of his mates look shit. And they basically put him on a pedestal so he thinks he's the fucking dog's bollocks. Even though he's average. And now he thinks he's God's gift to the gains, you know. And it's like, oh, dude, one of your friends needs to tell you, do you know what, mate? You actually need to train some more fucking legs. So,
but then his skinny mate's not going to tell him
yeah.
that.
That's why you should always have friends who are bigger than you.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
or don't be the
Always,
biggest fish in the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Always hang around with people that are above you.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're never going to go anywhere.
Exactly. If you want to be the person in the group that's like the best at everything, then how are you going to grow from people?
Yeah. So, how about you?
Yeah, okay. I know we're going off topic today, but we are going off topic
podcast, we
because
talk about what we
it's
want.
a Q&A today, so we may as
Yeah,
well
it's
have a chat. Comp prep is okay. It could be better, as always, but we always say that with comp prep.
And why?
Because
I know
I will tell you guys why I have not been focusing on myself the last probably 2 to 3 weeks, especially the last week. Comp prep's one of those things, like, you have to be selfish, and I haven't been doing that.
No.
And then I haven't been getting the results that I want, and I need to be more accountable to that, which is something that I tell my clients to do. So I'm owning up to the fact that I haven't been doing that. And it is hard because I had clients on stage last weekend, so my sole focus was just making sure they were okay. And this is why it's been hard for me to do a prep. And I know that sounds like an excuse, and I don't want to be full of excuses, but it is difficult when you're prepping people to focus on yourself.
Yeah. And you're busy as fuck with other things as well.
Yeah, it's not just that. There's a lot of things going on, building a house, whatnot. But at the same time, I don't want to be someone that's always making excuses. No. So I'm going to get it done. I'll get it done. It's going to be a grind for the next 8 and a bit weeks, but we'll get there.
A little bit of non-selfishness paid off because your clients kicked ass.
Yes, one of my girls won the overall bikini at the ICN show, so it does, it's awesome when you have those things happen, when you have been working your ass off, and obviously I give full credit to the client, but at the same time, Sean knows how thorough I am with my girls and how much work I put in behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, it's more than just, here's your plan. Like, I literally was talking to the girls every single day.
Yeah.
The morning after the show was Mother's Day, and I was on the phone to Dee at midday. I was like, can I have the morning off? And, after the show, because obviously she won, so now she's got to get ready for nationals. So I was like, yep, next day, Sunday morning, we didn't go home till midnight, pretty much comp. And,
yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad, actually, this year. So, yeah, it's like anything in life. The way I always see it is, look, there's people out there that are busier than me, and if they're getting shit done, then why can't I? And I don't want to... I prefer to look at it that way than there's people doing less than me. I prefer to see it, like a lot of people will see it the other way around.
Oh, there's always someone doing more than you.
Exactly.
No matter how busy you are, there's someone doing more.
Exactly. There's always someone working harder. There's always someone grinding more. There's always someone got it tougher. So I need to then fuck off the excuses and get shit done. Exactly. So that's it. Basically, my goal for the next 8 weeks, if anyone sees me in the gym and you think I'm an asshole because I don't talk to you and I don't sit around to have a chit chat, it's because I'm prepping, and that's what's been happening as well. I've been going to the gym and chatting to people in there, getting distracted, and then my sessions, I ran out of time, and then I don't fit in my post-workout cardio, and little things like that add up.
And
when you're at this point in prep, they add up. Yeah. So, yeah, if one of my mates sees me in the gym and I'm not having a chit-chat, it's because of that. I've got to get in a big volume and then sometimes a bit of post-workout cardio, and generally I've got to go straight back home and get back into work. Yeah. Because when you are prepping and you're doing weights, and then you're also, most days now, like cardio is almost daily, not massive sessions, but it's almost daily. So that's like, all adds up. That's 2 and a bit hours out of my day, sometimes 3 if it's a bigger session.
Or drive.
Yeah, which is time that I could be spent working. So pretty much as soon as training's done, I'm straight back into work. So yeah, that's where things are at. And we're going to grind. We're going to get it done.
Loves a grind.
Yeah, Sean's probably going to not enjoy being around me for the next 8 weeks.
Well, it's my fault because I'm a coach. So.
Exactly. But yes, my head's going to have to get down and bum up, and I'm just going to have to not give a fuck what people think for the next 8-9 weeks. And yeah, you don't have to be an arsehole to people, but at the same time, you've kind of just got to focus on your own shit, because I've just been being a little bit too nice and a bit too flexible with other people. And then I'm not getting the results, and then you get frustrated. So it's that cycle that I get my clients to move away from. So I'm not going to be stuck in it for very long. And that's the thing. Like, if you do have a moment like this, like, realize it quickly. Like, it kind of was like my check-in last weekend wasn't fabulous. And we were like, okay, what's been going on? Yeah. Sleep, this, that. All right, cool. It's 1 week. Get the fuck on with it. Let's make some changes and go from here.
I'll give you a bollocking.
Exactly. He's going to put his coach hat on at home. Tell them about your coach hat.
My coach beanie. So literally to split the relationship and the coach aspect.
Have a tea bag.
I'll teabag you.
Thank you.
She's drinking a cup of tea, by the way. To split up the coach aspect and the boyfriend aspect, I'm putting my coach beanie on every time I need to say anything that's going to piss her off, basically.
Yeah, so we separate the lines of coach and partner.
Yeah. So if I've got the beanie on, I can say what I want within limit, obviously.
You've got the beanie on,
so if you've got your teaspoon in a tub of peanut butter, and I know that your fats are 35-40 grams.
Don't tell them that.
And I'm like, hey, motherfucker, are you supposed to be having those fats?
That's why I told you to hide the peanut butter.
And if you give me any lip and I've got the beanie on, then you watch it.
But if you don't have the beanie on, you're getting a swift kick in the nuts.
I'm being an arsehole, yeah. And then I get things cut.
And this is a beanie that says dope on it. So
dope coach. Not because I sell dope, because I am
He's the dope coach.
Right. I coach you on how to smoke it. Yeah.
So anyway, guys, I know we're going off topic, but, I know you guys enjoy a little bit of our stuff as well and a bit of our lives, and I really appreciate everyone that listens to us. Like,
thanks, friends.
Yeah, thanks, friends. Like, yeah, I think it's nice to get the feedback we do, and we have fun with this. So if you guys want to keep it rolling, then keep sending us topics, keep sending us things you want to talk about, and questions. Questions are awesome, because sometimes we do get stagnant with content, and I'm like, I feel like I've talked about that 50 times. Yeah. And then it's like, well, hang on, some of our audience probably hasn't seen my video on that, or seen this, or heard Sean's perspective. So the more questions, the better, okay?
We've got a million things we can do podcasts on. It's just, if you want something specific, then you have to let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to do our own thing.
Yeah.
That we feel you may want to hear.
Exactly.
You might not want to hear that. So if that's the case, then let us know.
Yeah, and it's the best way to get across content because I'll honestly get the same questions from 20 girls on Instagram in a DM, and it's much more efficient for me and my time, especially at the moment prepping to do one big bulk podcast where we cover all the questions, than me sit there and reply to DMs. Like, I'm not opposed to replying to them, absolutely, but at the same time you got to draw a line with things and responses to things, and clients come first and DMs and questions and all of that kind of come second. So yes, that being said, let's get into our for him and her tip of the week.
Okay.
So you start. For him,
my tip.
saying for Taylor Summers' last name.
My tip for him, which is technically a tip for her as well, is to do with more pre-workout nutrition. A couple of my clients who I do macros with, because I do some meal plans. And
sorry to interrupt. It's actually a good question because one of the questions today was about nutrient timing on macros. So perfect. So you're touching on this.
So the reason why I want to bring this up is because I hear it a lot, and it's basically people that say I feel really bloated when I train.
It's usually people in the off season.
Yeah.
When you're pushing calories in.
Yeah. You're not when you're on.
I don't have this problem currently. I'm trying to feel full when I go to train.
I want to have broccoli and milk and orange juice to feel bloated.
Yeah.
No, so they feel bloated when they train, and then it fucks up your session. You're like, oh, how do I get around that?
I had this problem when I was powerlifting, and I put my weight belt on, and I would eat like a massive bowl of oats and like half an hour before I train, and I was a little bit fatter, and like I would just feel sick when I go down into my squat.
Well, or if you lean over into your deadlift and your belt doesn't fit properly. That's why I don't wear belts when I deadlift, just because I've got a big gut. So the thing is some people say it's because they're eating too close to training, and it's not necessarily the case. It's more often than not, it's what you're eating close to training. So if you're going to eat, say, 30 to 60 minutes before your training session, because you're training at stupid o'clock in the morning, then as long as you're not a diabetic, try and stick to more simple carbs. Simple foods, have a protein shake, have some cereal, have a bagel, some jam, and all that sort of stuff. I like cream of rice in those cases because...
Sean made his own.
Yeah, I just blend my own fucking rice. People who spend like $5... This
Jackson.
That's what grinds my gears.
Orders it from America.
Is people buy cream of rice. It's that baby food box that you can see. And I think it's like 200 gram box for about $5 or $6.
Sean's all about a bargain.
I'm a bargain gain specialist. It says it on my Instagram.
Maybe we should do an episode.
Bargain gains?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do that bulking on a budget, which is $50 shop.
We'll do a video. Yeah.
Because I live on about $50 a week for food.
It's on a house budget.
Yeah. But cream of rice, all you do is literally blend your own fucking dry rice. 100 grams in a little coffee grinder, blend it till it's a powder, put it into some hot water, done. Deadly.
And so explain for people like why that's going to be a better pre-workout than say maybe oats.
The main thing, honestly, is fibre.
Yeah.
So like I remember when I was having 250 grams of oats as a pre-workout, and that's 40 grams of fibre or something stupid. It's about 30 grams of fibre. And I used to feel like shit. I was constantly bloated. That's basically more than your daily fibre as my pre-workout. That's fine if you're going to train an hour or two later, and it's like, okay, well, I need the starches and the fibre. It's like, okay, well, have your sweet potato, your round rice, your whatever. You can even have pasta and what sort of bigger stuff. If you're looking for something that, okay, I want to get this in and out my body and burnt off nice and quickly because I'm going to train in half an hour, then simple sugars, simple food, low fibre.
Yeah, low
is
fibre.
The thing. That's
you're
the main
going to add veggies to it. Like if you're about to go train, don't bother with veggies. Like even though I still have a little bit of fibre, but a simple pre-workout that I've been having when I'm close to training is just I was just having chicken mince and a bit of pumpkin. Yeah. No veggies, no nothing, but it's mush. Yeah, it's easy to digest.
And even the difference between a mince and a whole meat.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier to digest mince.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's all about the fibre more often than not. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm bloated, have a look at what you're eating and maybe change it out to something that's easier to digest.
Awesome.
So that's my tip for him.
And
but it can be a tip for her.
Absolutely. I think our tips kind of go both sexes this week.
Sometimes, yeah. Oh, yours, yeah.
Well, both of them, yeah. So my tip this week, I've been running a 7-day education series on Beat the Bloat, which has been awesome. I've been basically just dropping 2 videos a day, a live and an education video this week. So I have been busy. It's been awesome. So it's just been a free group because I was sick of all the products out there that were, we talked about that in our last podcast, how we're a bit over some of these supplements making these false promises around digestion in particular. So I thought I'll educate some women on this.
That's always going to happen.
Didn't talk about SUPs, anything like that. It's literally, we've been talking about fiber, we've been talking about food volume, we've been talking about water, salt, IBS, all the stuff we talked about in the podcast.
So the stuff that actually counts.
Exactly. So anyway, the biggest thing that I touched on day 1 was salt intake. And I was surprised how many women in this group were like, oh, I've been told salt's bad. Yeah. I've got high blood pressure or high cholesterol or whatever.
Bad for your arteries.
Or the ones that were saying, well, high blood pressure runs in my family.
Yeah.
It's like, well, your parents were probably unhealthy and didn't exercise. Do you exercise?
Not to insult you.
No, but if you exercise, of course you can have salt in your diet. Like, salt has so many... You need it. It's got positive benefits. Like, so many benefits for recovery, for hydration.
Contractions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nutrient uptake, stomach acid, all of these things. And that was the main thing that I touched on with these ladies, like, in terms of digestion. And it was something that I actually did a little bit more research into because I'd heard of things before, but it was definitely an area that I still want to even do more research now on. But the relationship between, I guess, stomach acid and salt. So the big thing that I was explaining to these women is we have hydrochloric acid, which is one of our main stomach acid, really, that helps with digestion and breakdown.
And juices.
HCl. And HCl gets a bad rap. I think a lot of people will think you need to have an alkaline stomach environment. Okay? Why don't you need to have that, Sean?
Because you need the acid in your stomach to break shit down.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to make your stomach alkaline, good luck with that. Can you make a battery acid into an alkaline?
No, it's meant to have a pH. Your stomach will be more acidic. It's meant to be based more acidic. It's not going to be neutral. It's not going to be alkaline. So by having more green vegetables, it's not going to really aid your digestion. If anything, it might make it worse. So unless we're looking at this from a fiber standpoint. But let's talk about more just stomach acid because this relates a lot to reflux. So if you're having a lot of reflux, then obviously the acidity in your stomach is often off. And a lot of people think that means they have high stomach acid. Often it's the opposite. You're actually not producing a lot of HCl some of the time here.
Interesting.
Yes. So, acid reflux. Have you ever had acid reflux?
No, I actually don't.
No, but you eat a lot of salt.
No, because I have a shitload of salt, yeah. But, the only time I ever have is when I've had medications. But other than that, no, never had it once in my life.
And a lot of the time when you have medications, it's often from when you've been sick or dehydrated or this and that. Exactly. And then look at what happens. Exactly. So, yeah, just something to think about. And the more you exercise, the more salt you require, the more you're excreting, especially if you're doing carbohydrates. Cardio. God, my diet brain's gone to hell. If you're doing more carbohydrates, it's because I'm thinking about carbohydrates.
There's no carbs in that.
Yeah, exactly. So you need sodium chloride, so salt, to assist with the facilitation of hydrochloric acid, which aids in digestion. So don't be scared of salt, is basically what I'm trying to say. At the same time, the more salt you have, drink more water. We want to also help. But if you're also at the moment having, say, 5 litres of water a day and no salt, you're going to flush out the small amount of salt that you do have. So, like me and Sean, especially me, I have a lot of salt in my diet, but I probably drink a good 5-6 litres of water a day. So,
if you think about how, like, I probably drink a little bit more water than you.
Yeah.
But I'm a bigger human than you.
Yeah. You're also eating more carbs than me at the moment.
So you probably, in relativity, drink more water than me.
Yeah,
Hence why you have more salt.
I just drink it to try to stay full right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got a massive tea in front of it. Size of a goblet.
So, get more salt, okay? Don't be scared of salt. Add it to your meals. Now, especially, the other thing I was going to say was, especially if you're eating quote-unquote clean food. Because bro food doesn't have a lot of salt in it.
No.
Like, the biggest, saltiest foods in a bro diet would probably be like eggs, chicken, egg whites, but everything else is pretty low. Like, so add a bit to your foods, get a good quality salt, and that's it.
If you're on a super bro diet as well, and then you go and chuck in a pizza, look at yourself the next day when you train, you look fucking epic. You've always got those juicy
get
veins,
a bit of pump.
Got a huge pump, and that's something that I do as well, is my pre-workout, whether I'm having oats a couple of hours before or cream of rice, I actually put a few grains of salt in there, and then my OJ afterwards, because I have post-workout orange juice, because I love it. I put a few grains of salt in that as well.
Awesome.
It's recovery.
Exactly.
So, be like me.
And you look at most recovery fluids and things on the market, and they all have salt in them.
Like, yeah.
Just make your own. You don't need to buy those things. Like, throw a bit of salt in some cordial and you'll be sweet.
Yeah, cheap ass.
Yeah, a little extra salt. And even Barrett's chains, generally speaking, will have a bit of sodium in them.
What's it called? Extend.
Yeah.
You have to chop them out towards the end of the prep because it's so high in sodium.
Exactly. All right, guys, so let's get into the questions today. The first question, I've had a few that aren't really questions. They've more been requests for podcasts, so I will run through some of those topics because then we can have them in an upcoming one. So I just want to kind of thank people that have messaged us. Okay. So first up, Tani Schofield has asked us to do answer some questions about PCOS and insulin. So definitely a huge topic. So we will cover that and do some research, maybe get an expert on for that one because it's a big topic. But thank you so much for the question/topic. We'll be covering that
because it's more common than you think.
Oh, so many women asked about PCOS. Yeah. So the next one was just thank you for being so incredible. So thank you, Jordan. Really appreciate that message. I'm just going through a screenshot of them all last week.
Or me?
Oh, it was probably you, Jazzy. Okay. Even though they sent it to my Instagram.
It's me.
Okay, so next one. Again, just a shout out. So Georgia Williams, loving the podcast, everything, especially this one, spot on. It was nice to hear about gut health and some real and realistic facts. Refreshing to hear post-comp in comparison. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to see if there's actually any questions in here. Okay. No, another thank you. Okay. Now, let's delve into some actual questions. Okay. I've got one from Diana saying, my current coach broke my glutes. Is this tough love or abuse?
It's tough love and you want a fucking overall title for it.
Exactly.
So don't complain, woman.
Okay. So I got a kind of general one now, but I think we can talk about this a little bit anyway. So one of the girls has asked me, glute activation. I have one stubborn glute, so she has an imbalance. Common. So what do you think would be something that you would recommend? You're more the trainer, I guess, these days than me. So what would you do in this situation, say in a PT setting, or you'd recommend for them to do?
I tend to look at simple things, start from the very, very bottom. So let's look at your posture, let's look at your gait, so how you walk. One of the main things, especially with women, is you have the angry woman stance.
Yeah.
Which is when you stand there and you pop all your weight onto one hip. And you find that
do I do that?
Yeah, every woman does it. No one really, I think guys stand more sort of straight on because we all secretly think that we're bouncers.
Okay.
So we stand straight on, a little bit sort of fighty. Someone wants a bit of fisticuffs, I'm stood straight on.
I've never heard it called the tough woman stance.
Okay, angry woman stance.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas when you stand up, women seem to pop all their weight onto one hip, so what it does is it shortens
Sassy.
a lot. Yeah, it's the sass hip.
Yeah.
It shortens certain muscles in the hips and elongates and weakens some of the other ones. So that's really, really common. Tends to be a big thing because then you've got a tight, say, one side of the glute, which looks firmer and higher, and then the other one is stretched and weak, so it looks lower and hangs more.
Okay.
That tends to be a big one. So you've got to look at, is the one that hangs lower, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It might be the one that is higher, might be super tight. So we stretch it out and we strengthen the other one. Mm-hmm. So posture's a big one. It might be a neurological thing. Some people just can't activate one of their glutes. Like if you sit down now and squeeze your right glute,
one's better on mine than the other.
I know that I can squeeze my right a lot better than my left, so it's just an innovation thing.
Yeah.
Activation drills, band work.
I think a lot of it comes back to tightness. I know for me, if I don't mobilize properly, I'll struggle to get good activation in my left. And that's where I get on my lower back pain will be only ever left side. But if I mobilize mainly my QLs, piriformis, and hips, completely fine.
Piriformis is a huge one.
And QL. Those two, if you are tight in there, and it could be the way you sit, as well, kind of touches in with how you were saying with stance. But when I sit at my desk, I tend to kind of lean onto one hip a little more. Yep. Could even be the way you sleep. You might be sleeping. The calm, angry woman. But it could be the way you sleep. You might lay on one side. I tend to roll on one side. So all of these things. So I would honestly say the biggest thing that I would do in this situation is first determine if you've got tightness anywhere.
Yeah.
Get a full mobility assessment with a coach or just yourself. Go through the common areas that connect the glutes, I guess the hip region, and look at what might be tight. And if you're feeling tighter, generally on the side that's not activating as well, okay, that's probably what's going to happen. For the most part, because it's probably short and tight and can't feel it as well.
Something that's fully contracted.
Exactly. So that would be my first port of call. If your mobility is even on both sides, then it's probably more like you were saying, neurological. And then what I would recommend in that situation is to do a lot of unilateral training.
Yeah.
So that would be, unilateral training, if you don't know, if you hear us say that term, I know it sounds simple to us, but it's basically one side.
Yeah.
So it would be like a split squat, a Bulgarian, a single leg kickback. Anything like that's unilateral, whereas like a goblet squat is bilateral. So that's what I would do. I would do unilateral work and always start on your weak side. Absolutely. So if you're going into the exercise and you're going to do a Bulgarian, start on the side that's not activating as well and use a weight that's comfortable for that side. Don't then put more weight on the other side. Just kind of match it, and hopefully they'll tend to come up a little better. What would you do? Anything different?
No, I think unilateral training is very underrated.
Oh, I love it. All my beginners do all unilateral work because it not only does it open up your hips and stretches you out, it aids in mobility. You figure out imbalances side to side.
Stability, contralateral strength as well. I think, guys, that'd be a good tip for him, is do more unilateral stuff.
I barely ever see guys do a split squat or a Bulgarian.
And it's funny because I make my guys do it.
All I see them do is lunges and squats,
I stick them in the Smith machine. I'm like, okay, today we're going to do some heavy split squats. And they're like,
let's go.
It's like, all right, we'll watch when we do 8 weeks of split squats progressively. Then you go back to your 2-leg squat and you'll be a fucking beast.
Yeah.
And you'll feel a lot better.
Exactly.
Range of motion's easier.
Your squats will be better. Everything will be better.
You'll have a big ass.
Yeah.
So, I always say stretch before you strengthen.
Because to grow and activate the glutes, they need to be hitting all planes. And the biggest plane that you're going to hit them loading-wise is in a stretch position. So when you're in a squat, you're not actually going to get as much stretch on the glute as, say, a full lunge or a Bulgarian. Exactly. So, yes, that is why you tend to get really sore when you do unilateral training in a split squat, split lunge because of the stretch position and the loading.
Single leg press.
Yeah.
You get a bigger range of motion as well.
Exactly.
I always get the sorest ass.
Yeah. Whereas I don't really get a sore bum from squatting, but I'll get it from a Bulgarian because, again, you're not loading the glutes in a stretch position.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I'm going to say your name. So that was from Lisa Jane. Thank you very much. All right, the next one, Hot Fit Living, sounds sassy. Thank you for your question. She asked the question and she called me Alison. That is not my name. No one called me Alison, but thank you for your question. Just wanted to clear that up. Would love more in depth. I think it's because my Instagram name's Ali, and I think people don't realise that it's Alice, not Alison. So I am not being sassy. I just hate the name Alison. So
That's my mum's name.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, shit. I hope your mum's not listening to this.
Yes. Hi, Mum.
Hi, Mum.
Alice hates your name.
Yeah, no. You end up being with a girl that, looks semi-similar to your mum and...
Nothing like my mum.
Well, when I had blonde hair, a bit more.
You don't naturally have blonde hair.
It's dark blonde. It's like a dirty, rank colour.
My mum's hair is naturally.
Yours mum's is like bleach blonde. Yeah. Anywho, so she said, "Hey Alison, I would love more in-depth strength and conditioning." And I said, "That's a very big topic. So can you specify?" And she said, "Okay,
everything.
What intensity / maximum heart rate? It's a big question. Should I do to burn fat?" We'll start with that one, and then we'll go a little more in depth. But she says, "I'm on a spin bike, plus wanting to run long distance again." And incorporating conditioning. How many days a week should I be doing this to push myself? I want to build my strength, especially my lower back and core. Just have had my 4th bub, who is 10 weeks old. So I'm trying to get back into exercise.
10 weeks. Wow.
Baby brain took all my knowledge. Okay, massive question. Yeah. So let's break it down. Thank you so much for the question. But the first one, let's touch on that first. What intensity / maximum heart rate should I be at to burn fat, Jazzy? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
There is no fat burning zone. Okay?
That's a fallacy that we've kind of disproved these days. It even still says it on the treadmills. You get brand new treadmills and it says, here's your fat burning zone and here's your, I don't know what other zones there are. Is there a muscle building zone on a treadmill?
No, there's lose your gain zone.
Okay, yeah. Don't be on it too long, then you'll lose your gains.
So explain why there's no fat burning zone.
Calorie deficit. So it's calories in, calories out.
Yeah, absolutely. So if your goal is fat loss, calories. Like, for example, if you were to say, like, for example, sometimes, like, I'll have cardio for, like, an hour walk, but I've got no time. And Sean will see me just, like, run on the treadmill for 30 minutes straight. And, yeah, it's slightly different in terms of, like, obviously when you look at, like, stress response, inflammation, stuff like that, I'm going to have more inflammation from a run and probably a bit more of a stress response within my body than going for a walk.
Yeah.
But from a caloric standpoint, pretty much doing the same thing.
Well, it's like when science changes a lot. So they came out with, and, you know, we're all guilty for it as trainers. We used to think, because we were told that HIIT, so high intensity interval training, is better than steady state. And we thought that for ages, and now they're kind of more leaning towards, okay, well, it's actually same.
Yeah.
It's better for some people who don't have the time.
Exactly.
You know,
it's
so
more time efficient.
If you're time poor and you need time efficiency.
Or if you want to actually work on your fitness.
Well, that's
another one. Yeah.
If it's not paramount for you to be super fit, because I know that I like to be fit. Even though I'm trying to get bigger, I don't want to be fucking useless.
Yeah.
I like to be able to, okay, yes, I can squat 220, I can bench 150, but I also want to still be able to run and put on my shoelaces.
Like, I remember a prep I did with Lane when all this research was out that HIIT was more beneficial, and he had me doing 3 full HIIT sessions a week in my prep, and I was shattered.
Yeah.
Now I do 1, and that kills me, but I can go all in on it.
Yeah.
And we're more doing that as well because I like being fit too, and I push myself and I can get it done quite quickly. So, well, not quickly, it still takes me about 40 minutes to get through, but it's more efficient sometimes from a caloric standpoint.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it goes back to this question, what heart rate should you be at for maximum burn for fat? Well, obviously the higher the heart rate, you're going to have a higher caloric burn. So if your heart rate and your intensity goes up, you're going to burn more calories. Yeah. But does that mean you need to get your heart rate as high as possible for your whole cardio session? Probably not, unless you, again, have only got 15 minutes to train. Then it's going to be more important to run for 15 minutes than walk, say, for example.
I'd say personalise it. So if you've got the time and you're not... Because some people aren't explosive. They've never done explosive sports or anything like that. So those people, you tend to go, okay, you're going to do steady state or easier interval training.
Yeah, not HIIT.
Not HIIT, for example. But if someone is like you, and even me really, is... If I walk on a treadmill like 5 times a week, I just get bored and I want to do something a bit more explosive and active. So HIIT is good for us because it's good for your brain as well.
Yeah.
But be progressive with that as well. So don't just go, okay, I want to burn lots of fat. I'm going to do X amount of cardio every single week and go in 7 days, you know.
Because we have to, like I was saying before, you have to look at the stress response and the information, and that can impact on your weight training.
If you do HIIT every day...
Yeah, you're not doing HIIT properly as well. Like,
it will screw up your other weight training as well. And that's the thing, is if you're someone that's training 5 days a week, you're probably not going to be able to do HIIT that much.
No, so I do HIIT on my rest day once a week. And I never do anything intense on my legs on a leg day.
And like, you're kind of a freak of recovery as well.
Yeah, my legs recover really well.
3-4 days a week and still do HIIT and barely get sore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, so touching on that, I just want to finish up with the heart rate stuff.
Yeah.
The other question she asked is, what is the intensity / maximum heart rate? That is also going to be specific to the individual. So... Yeah, basically what I mean by that is for someone that's fitter, you're generally going to be able to push your maximum heart rate a little higher. So I remember when I was a sprinter and I remember going and looking on my, heart rate monitor at the end of a, say, interval of sprinting, and it would be up very high, like 195, 200. I'm nowhere near as fit as that now, and I was doing some HIIT and kind of looking at my heart rate monitor, and now it's sitting when I finish an interval at around like 175, 180. I try to push it to, then I know I've worked quite hard. But what I'm saying is that that's for a pretty fit person. So when you're asking what intensity / heart rate should you be at, it's subject to the individual, and it's also subject to your resting heart rate. So my resting heart rate sits around 55, somewhere around there. So we want to look at the difference between resting heart rate and working heart rate as well. So, that's a big one. So the general thing I'm trying to say there with heart rate is it's subject to the individual. So if you've got someone, let's say, for example, who's very overweight, very unfit, and they're getting on a treadmill, there's no fucking way I'd tell them to go get the heart rate up to 180. They would have a heart attack, okay? So that is really important to realise. And people say, oh, you should do 220 minus your age. Yeah. Very generalisation. I think it's okay for someone who doesn't really train, okay? It's general pop. It's safety. It's basically safety.
Yeah.
But, for example, like I'm 30, so that should mean that my max heart rate should only be 190. And I was saying I was getting it to about 180, 185 doing HIIT. Okay,
Yeah.
does that mean I'm going to have a heart attack? No. Like...
It's weird. Heart rate's a weird one because you're fitter than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They say that the lower your heart rate, the fitter you are. My resting heart rate...
Not when you're working, though.
But my resting heart rate... my resting heart rate...
Is it similar to mine?
It's like 54.
Yeah, we're about the same.
But I can't get my heart rate above like 130. When I do HIIT, the highest I got it was 160, and that was when I feel like I'm going to spew, and I had to get off the bike, and I took like 10 minutes to recover.
But again, this is to do with female and male recoveries and mechanisms.
I've got a bigger heart than you.
Yeah.
So it's going to beat less, but more explosively.
And females are better at clearing lactic acid and recovery, so we tend to be able to actually push our heart rate sometimes higher than males.
They just released a study again. I think it was a meta-analysis actually, saying how much better you are at lactic acid clearance.
So much better. Yeah.
So that's why when I used to do my giant sets, you get girls that have never done it before and guys that come every week, and the girls would always obliterate
and
the guys.
It used to annoy me because at athletics it used to be the same thing. We'd do an interval bout and the guys would be vomiting and the girls would be fine. And the guys would say, oh, it's because you don't train as hard. And it's not that. It's just that we recover better.
Yeah.
So we actually probably need shorter recovery intervals, all of that. Whereas, like, same with weight training. Like, a girl can do a deadlift and probably be recovered in a couple of minutes, whereas a guy might need 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's very different. So what we're just trying to say with all of this is it's very case dependent.
Yeah, sorry.
Now, the next one is she said she's on a spin bike plus wanting to do run long distance again and then incorporating conditioning. I'm not sure what she means by conditioning. I'm guessing like some weight training. How many days per week should I be doing this to push myself? So the big thing with this is, again, individual. But when you say push yourself, the biggest thing is change things like on a weekly basis. So if you're wanting to push yourself every single week, then it doesn't need to be a case of, I have to do 5 days. Like, you could do 3 days and push yourself. You could do 1 day on the bike, 1 day running, 1 day conditioning.
Yeah.
You can still progress that every week and push yourself. So it's kind of hard to answer that question.
I would say just write it down what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by pushing yourself, you're just progressively overloading every week. So say you do, like you said, a run, a bike, and then a weight session. You do 3 days a week. Write down, say, the distance you ran and the distance you cycled and your weight training session. And then next week, add 5 minutes onto all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And she said she also wanted to work on a lower back and core. So what I'd probably do is throw in a 4th day that's at home because you've got the bubs and the kids, and just do some core work and some basic stuff at home, maybe some stretching and mobility that day. Like, that would be fine.
You don't have to go to the gym.
No.
Core work and cardio go hand in hand really well, I find.
Yeah, obviously she said a bit of conditioning, so I would probably recommend using some resistance. But if you're at home and you're a mum, there's no reason as to why you couldn't get a kettlebell and some med balls and do that at home. Like, if it's only 1 day, you probably don't need a gym membership.
No.
But then again, in winter, it's sometimes handy to have a spin bike or whatever.
Yeah.
Awesome that you're getting back into training already with a 10-week out.
10 weeks, I would say take it easy.
Hope that helps. Yeah.
Don't go crazy yet.
Be nice to yourself. Yeah.
Think you've got, say, a year to not go crazy, and in a year's time you want to be in a good place, rather than think I want to be where I was in a month.
Yeah.
You did just have a kid.
Awesome.
Well done.
Okay, next one. Do you want to do this one? So, Riley Holloway.
Riley, where am I reading?
Bottom.
So I've been cutting for 8 weeks and I've hit a plateau and I don't want to lower my calories, currently at 1700. So I'd like to know what to do to help continue my fat loss because I still want to lean up a little bit more without cutting more calories. Okay, so you've been dieting for 8 weeks, hit a plateau at 1700 calories and you want to continue but don't want to eat less.
Yep.
Calories in, calories out, and there's also output and versus input as well. So, one option you've got, I don't know how much cardio you're doing.
Yeah, that'd be the biggest question I'd ask in training.
So I would say if you're not doing any cardio, add in a cardio day.
Yeah.
I would, some people are like, okay, we're going to go straight into cardio every day. Why?
Yeah, do the effective minimum dose.
Why?
Yeah.
Add in one cardio day. So if you work that out and you burn 250 calories, 300 calories in a cardio session.
You don't need to drop your calories.
You've just basically dropped your calories by 300 without actually dropping food.
So let's say that Riley is already doing a fair bit of cardio and she's hit a plateau. She doesn't want to drop her calories any lower than 700. what then, like, is there some other things we could look at? There's definitely some things that I can think of, but, like, I'm thinking more like, let's look at what the quality of food is, your nutrient timing, how your sleep is, how your stress is, all those things. I mean, there might be small percentages, but they will add up. Also, your macro breakdown, so, like, what numbers are you hitting for protein, carbs, and fat? Again, it is energy in, energy out, so it won't make...
It could be 1,700 calories of carbs and fats.
Yeah, exactly.
Protein being very thermogenic. You could jiggle around your macros.
Yeah.
Raise your protein a little bit so you've got a bigger thermic effect of food.
Yeah. You could always have a diet break if you're feeling like you've hit a plateau.
8 weeks is a long time for dieting. You know, they're doing a lot of research into diet breaks.
We'll get Jackson again for that one.
Because he's doing his PhD in that. Yeah, I'd say if it's a case of, it depends how you're feeling. You know, if you're feeling a bit shitty and like you've just slowed down, your energy's low, diet breaks are awesome.
Yeah.
You know, come up a little bit in your food, add in 500 calories for a week. Yeah. See how you feel. Sometimes you drop on a diet break.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing to like remember here, Riley, as well, is like if say you're on 1,700 calories and you're not doing a lot of cardio and you've plateaued a little bit, like 1,700 calories, I think people get scared of going a little low with macros. Yeah. And obviously we're coaches that we want to keep the calories as high as we can. But like, let's be real in society, like people have to go low cal sometimes to get a result. So even if you were dropping to...
1,700 is not low.
Like 1,550, 1,600, especially based on body weight. Like if you're a female that only weighs 50, 60 kilos, like it's actually not that low. Yeah. Especially if you have a job where, say, you're sedentary. Like this is very different. If I have a client who's like FIFO, on their feet, working 16-hour days and... like they're already tired, they're already fatigued. Yeah, I probably don't want to be too aggressive with calories. So I would say, Riley, have a look at, like Sean said, how you're feeling. If you're feeling okay and you're not like starving and wanting to chew your arm off and you're feeling pretty good, your mind's pretty clear, then maybe get a little more aggressive. Yeah. Like, especially if it's only for, say, I'm not sure how much longer you're planning on doing with it, but I would say, yeah, go a bit more aggressive with either cardio or calories. Look at your macros, look at your food quality, your sleep. And then, you know, just base it on that and make sure you do a really good reverse diet out of it if you are going to go lower.
Yeah, like I said, people are afraid of going low. Do you know what? Like, if you want to get leaner and it's something that's a priority for a while, you can always reverse diet.
Yeah.
It really does work. You know?
Yeah.
And as long as you don't feel like shit. So if you're not feeling like shit, get a little bit more aggressive. Don't get too aggressive. If you're on 1,700 and that's a weekly average, you've got carb cycling as well, but 1,550, 1,600. There's nothing wrong with doing that for a while.
Exactly.
As long as it's not too long. I'm going to stay on that for 2 years.
Exactly. Then your metabolism is going to be downhill. Okay, so next question from Leah94. Thank you very much. Quick, short little question here, but she just basically said she's struggling to gain muscle bulk / weight. So what are some tips? This will be a nice simple one for you. I love hearing females struggling to gain muscle. We can get some gains on you. But yeah, what I guess are some simple tips for you, Jazzy, and I'll give a few of mine, for females more so specifically wanting to gain muscle.
Eat more food.
Simples.
Honestly, it is.
Eat more calories, yeah.
Eat more food and make sure you're training like an absolute
beast. And don't be scared of gaining a tiny bit of fat. I think that's a big one.
And do you know what? It might not be fat. It might just be weight.
Yeah.
So, like, you think about every gram of carbohydrate you add, you're going to add about 2.7 to 3 grams of fluid weight as well. So, say you add in, you go up and reverse diet or bulk, and you don't call it bulking, massing phase, or what do you call it as a woman?
A massing phase.
Massing.
That sounds like a masturbating phase.
Yeah, well, that's daily.
I call it growth season.
Growth season, yeah. That just sounds a bit
kind of
PED.
Yeah.
You know.
We're in the gear.
Yeah.
Or a building phase.
A building phase, there you go. If you add in, say, 50 grams of carbs, so there's going to be some extra weight there from the extra food, plus the extra fluid as well. So you might think, fuck, I've gone up in weight.
Yeah, don't worry about the scales. Don't worry about the scales. Absolutely.
Honestly, I'll just say eat more food. And I think one thing that a lot of women are guilty of is these fucking zoodles and zoats and whatever the hell else you call
Jess Hull.
Jess Hull. Yeah. Oh, I'm so full on 1,900
stop
calories.
Eating fucking 4 kilos of pumpkin a day.
4 kilos of pumpkin and 78 zucchinis
You're not on poverty macros,
You chop all that stuff. We're just messing.
Love you, Jess.
You chop all that sort of stuff out and you think, okay, I now need to go more for
rice,
maximum calories per mouthful. Yeah, so rice is amazing. It digests really easy. And fuck off brown rice as well. Go to white rice.
Yeah.
It's very,
basically
very
the
easy.
opposite of what you do when you're dieting. Like, and this is the funny thing, because in my program Breakthrough, the first 8 weeks they're increasing their calories, and they go to dieting. Glorious. So we're getting them to go away from all the clean foods that they're so used to.
That's it.
You get taught.
You get taught and told
white rice is bad.
Yeah, all this sort of stuff. And now you're you're no longer.
Doesn't mean you're eating shit
person.
as well. That's what we want to clear up.
A pizza's still a pizza.
Yeah.
Cake is still cake.
Exactly. You're just changing the type of carbs. Yeah. The type of fats you're eating. Fats, say you can go from changing from eating a nut, which has got more fiber and slower to digest, to eating an oil. Things like that to add calories if need be. And I think the biggest thing with girls and muscle gain is be patient. It is watching fucking paint dry. You are not going to sit there and see your gains overnight.
It sucks for guys, and we have.
I think it's worse for girls.
Roughly 10 times the testosterone.
Exactly.
You do. So imagine what it is for you.
Yeah. A girl, I think I read a study once, and girls gain, if you're in a surplus for a whole year and you're consistently weight training, they said maximum 3 kilos of muscle. That's upper end. Yeah. I think it was 5 was the most Lane said he's ever seen with a female client.
I'd be happy with that as a guy.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking upper end, someone who is consistent with food, consistent with training. Yeah. I reckon I put on about, I put on a lot the last few years, but it's been a good 4 years.
Yeah, 4 year off season.
Yeah, well, there's probably had times there I was doing little kind of mini cuts and things like that, but nothing really I've been pretty much in a surplus for 4 years.
How high did you get with your calories?
Not super high.
What was your highest average?
I wish, look, I'm going to be dead set honest with you guys. I wish I was a macronator, because I've got some of my clients who can eat 3,000 calories as a female and not put on weight. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not that way, and it's from years of dieting in the past prior to this. The 5 years of damage that I did, my first few show seasons. Yeah. And I'm still kind of coming out of that, I guess. And after I do this comp, I really want to document a full reverse diet and do a better job of it. So, yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. But I think, I haven't strictly tracked either for, the last few years. So, sort of when I met Sean, I was kind of tracking but not really. I just needed a break. And I think that's important for people as well to understand that you need to have those times. When I did start tracking again, it was probably 2.2 to 2.5 around there. And my cardio was only really walking the dogs a couple of days a week. So my output, and I work from home, so my output's not that high. So for, again, a client who has an active job and she's a female, she's probably on a lot more calories than what I would be.
Yeah, your NEAT would have been very low.
It was very low.
Sit at a computer.
Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't making an effort with NEAT. I wouldn't do any post-workout cardio. I wouldn't really do anything. I think I'd do a random maybe HIIT session once a fortnight, and that was about it. So, yeah, I think, the other big thing that we didn't touch on is obviously how you're training. Your training needs to be consistent, and you need to be adding more weight to the bar. Yeah. If you're not adding more weight to the bar and you're not getting stronger, that's a good sign that you're not growing, okay? So, yeah, you need weight. You need to be progressing. You need to be consistent. And then not overtraining. That's a big one for you. Yeah.
I train less quite deep into an off-season, because you're trying not to burn off the calories. If you're doing a 3-hour training session, you're literally just at neutral.
Yeah. You're
in that zone of, okay, well, you're not burning fat because you're at a calorie surplus, but you're actually not putting it to use to gain some muscle either. So don't train too much, but your calories and your training need to be very relative.
Yeah.
Your training needs to dictate how many calories you have going in.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's kind of vice versa as well. So you need enough calories to feed your training to recover.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you turn
okay, I'm going to do one last really quick one. And if you're not sure if you're gaining muscle and fat, I would highly recommend getting like a DEXA or some skin folds done every couple of months, maybe when you're growing.
Macros, or at the end of the day, is it mainly just
really good.
Wholesome nutritional foods,
especially
your
targets are much better than
love your podcast, you guys are hilarious.
Oh, thank you, Casey. So that's a great question. It's very specific, okay? So with both of us, we do implement nutrient timing.
Yeah.
It's not just for comp prep, but for my lifestyle clients as well. Everyone does nutrient timing.
Yeah, I mean, the protein 100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you look at the hierarchy of how am I supposed to hit my macros? Number one is protein, and you don't want to be stuck at the end of the day with 100 grams of protein, because you're not going to digest that very well. So if you can split your protein over 3 or 4 meals for a day, I always find 3 or 4 is better for women because say you only have 120 grams of protein for the day. It's not very big meals.
You'd be surprised. I've got the opposite with girls where they can't eat that much
protein. I agree,
yeah,
but at the same time, it's nice to be full.
Yeah.
But if you want to do 5 meals, you get smaller meals.
So why is it important for people to have a balance of protein at meals other than just like not ending up with heaps of protein at the end of the day?
I would say that's the one macro that we've come out with a lot of conclusive evidence saying that there is a limit of what you can digest and utilize in one meal, and they're saying it's 0.4 to 0.55 grams per kilo of body weight per meal. So literally hit your number, divide it by say 3 or 4 or 5 meals, and that's better because then you're getting an even split of amino acids throughout the whole day. Thermic effective food as well, you're getting a split of that throughout the day. And whether you're trying to hold muscle mass, you want to keep those aminos in. Or whether you're trying to gain muscle mass, you want to not be catabolic.
Yeah.
So that is number one that we work with. And then really fats and carbs, more often than not with normal people who aren't prepping or whatever, it's kind of just a split how you feel works for you.
I was just going to say, I go a lot by feel with the client. And also health things. Like if I've got a client who has, say, PCOS, someone who has... say, what's another one that kind of affects these things? More issues with like insulin sensitivity, diabetes. Obviously, we're not just going to be like, here's 300 grams of carbs, go nuts, have sugar all day. Like
lolly snakes.
Yeah, so not just nutrient timing when we prep people, but also the types of nutrients. So I pretty much have a rule with my clients. It's like, even though you're flexible dieting, I want like 80 to 90% of your foods to come from whole foods. Like if a client sends me a food diary and they're eating fucking protein bars all day, and we're going to have a chat.
Bought shit that's got 50 ingredients in.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, but I hit my macros. So I think if you're working with a coach, just be a little mindful of that. Like if you've got a coach that's just giving you macros, that's fine if you're just paying for that service and you're paying someone $20 a week to send you just macros, like that's cool. But if you're working with a coach and you're really trying to optimize your health overall, I would say, not just body composition, but health, then you're going to want to get a bit more of, I guess, a better breakdown, especially if you're not that educated on it, of how to structure your meals. And the best way to do that, well, how I do it with my clients is get them to send me food diaries, and then I have a look at their meals, where they're having them, what time of day. Sometimes even starting a client on a meal plan just to start, and then kind of saying to them, okay, you've seen how I've structured your food. Now I want you to start doing flexible dieting and tracking, but kind of eat similar to that. So for example, if we gave you lunch that was chicken, sweet potato, a salad, and some fats, okay, well, I want you to now switch that out, but they might want to have a steak instead of some chicken. They might want to have some rice instead of that. They're not going to go have McDonald's. No. Like, it's about still food
quality.
That's
being a dick. That's not flexible.
That's being a dickhead. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, occasionally, going to happen, okay? If you're occasionally having a cheeseburger, is it a big deal? No. But
love a cheeseburger.
Exactly, yeah. Good old post-workout for you sometimes, yeah.
I would say when your comp prep is when you're starting to go away from being the normal person and you're into, okay, I'm looking at performance.
Not only that, but also digestion and being consistent.
Everything needs to be a bit better than you can. If you're just a lifestyle client and it's like, okay, I'm doing this for health and to be...
There's no like short-term goal.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, you don't need to be as strict and perfect with the minutiae, but when you're getting into comp prep and like, okay, I need to be sub 10%, then more things need to come into consideration.
Yeah. So, or you're a lifestyle client, but you're going on a holiday to Europe in the next 4 weeks and you want to really tidy your shit up for
all these things.
Whatever, then focus on the small stuff. Yeah.
If you're a performance client in terms of sports as well, and even contest prep really, is the reason why we tend to do low or no carb meals. It's not because you're going to burn more fat in that area. It's because you're on lower carbs and we want to shunt it all around your training so your training still feels good.
Yeah.
You know?
But then I kind of like don't always stick by that rule of thumb because I always go by compliancy. Yep. So I had a client that I was doing that from a calorie standpoint. Her carbs got quite low. I think they're only like 80 grams of carbs a day for like the last few weeks of prep or whatever. So I pushed the majority of that around training. She trains at night. And she messaged me one day and she was like, look, I'm really struggling, Al. Like, I'm tired and lethargic and then I'm struggling. I need pre-workout and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And she goes, I'm actually not that hungry at night at the moment. So I was like, sweet. Let's take some of your post-workout carbs, give you some just at your first meal of the day. And she said she felt 10 times better.
Of course,
and, you know, she was just having protein and fats for breakfast. We threw in, I think it was 20 grams of oats or something, or some pumpkin. I think it was pumpkin in an omelette. And
pumpkin's amazing when you're prepping.
Yeah.
So much volume.
And she felt so much better. So it has to come down to how you feel, how your energy is, how your digestion is. So many things with nutrient timing, mainly of carbs.
Yeah.
I guess fats. I don't tend to like to eat a shit ton of fat pre-workout. If I'm training quite close to that meal, because it tends to digest a little slower, feel a bit lethargic. But if, say, I've got 2 hours before I'm going to go train, then I probably will have some fats with that meal.
Yeah,
so things like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you know what, though, as well, is I don't really believe in, you know, they say, high fat, like keto, for example, they say it's really satiating. Me, personally, fat and protein meal doesn't fill me up at all.
No, it's carbs.
I do. I get fuller on carbs because the fibre. You're probably the same, you know, you don't poop very well if you don't have the carbs.
No.
You can go lower on fats and higher on carbs.
Yeah.
Like my first 2 or 3 meals of the day, if I just do, say, protein and fats, I'm starving. So that's why I add some carbs in there sometimes.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm super hungry. So yeah, I mean, I would say that number one is your protein on meal timing.
Yeah, and I think the other big one is some people get confused with whether they're allowed to have carbs, protein, and fats all in one meal.
Why not?
Absolutely. Who exactly. Yeah. You don't need to just have a protein and fat meal or just a carb and protein meal. So, yeah, I guess that answers your question a little bit with comp prep. You want to optimize all the small variables, and this is why you pay a coach that...
Because there's lots of small variables.
Exactly, and I think sometimes people think, and I heard some dickhead say this comment once about me behind my back.
Who was it?
I'm not going to mention their names, so I don't want to give them credit on our podcast. Right. But someone, you'd be able to guess.
I'll stab them.
They basically are a coach that is rude to other coaches because they're a shit coach themselves. So they like to tarnish other people.
That doesn't
narrow
it down.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But you get those people out there. Like, we're all for supporting other coaches, but... This coach basically said to someone that mentioned comp prep, and she said, do you know any good coaches in Perth? This is before I started working with her. Now she's been a client for 4 years. And she went to them and said, what do you think of Alice Ryan? And she goes, and he said to her, he doesn't even know me from a bar of soap. And he said, she just does macros. She'll just tell you protein, carbs and fats. That's shit. That doesn't work. Okay, he is someone, again, not going to call it out, but that has never been in shape in his life and... is just nasty to other coaches, and there's no need for that.
You might disagree with what some other coach does,
but you also don't know what they do. You don't know unless you've been coached by someone. You don't know what they do, and we're even like that with other coaches. Clients will come to us and say, "Hey, what do you think of blah blah blah?" And we're like, "Look, we've only seen what they've posted on the internet, but we don't know what they're like as a coach. So we're not going to pass judgment. Yeah, they might post something we don't agree with." But we're not going to then tarnish them as a bad coach.
Because they're not fucking assholes.
Exactly. So I think, so anyway, that client ended up working with me for 4 years after that and had amazing results. So
I don't
get some point, but not necessary. It's not what flexible dieting isn't just, here's your macros, go. It's much more than that.
I don't get this whole... There's this bragging thing at the moment that people don't believe in macros. And it's like, are you fucking serious? It's literally science.
Where do you think your food comes from?
Yeah, and it's because certain old school bodybuilders didn't track their macros. It's we also used to fucking ride around on a horse and cart.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it was more efficient back then.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's okay, we've gone further from there these days. It's more efficient. And you know what? I bet you were tracking your food.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm eating X amount of meals. I'm going to chop one of those meals out. Guess what? You just chopped your macros. Exactly.
And we have some clients who are on, say, meal plans, and sometimes I won't adjust the whole thing. I'll just, if I need to cut calories, okay, I'm just going to take rice out of that meal.
Yeah.
But I still have the macros there for them so they understand. But it's as simple as that sometimes. Yeah. Okay, there goes 30 grams of carbs. Exactly. Done. Boom. You've cut calories. So, yeah, don't be a bro. Don't say macros don't count and that you just need to eat clean because we all know, you will have so many scientists coming after you and so there's just no point. Yeah.
So good questions.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, but we'd love more.
Yeah.
So email them through. If you want to email them, that's a good way because I can kind of store them all a little better. Sometimes they get a bit lost on Instagram, but I do try to screenshot them as they come in, put them in a little folder that we've got our questions folder. So email them to me because I'm
the star of the podcast.
No, I'm more organised than you.
Yeah. I reckon we do one of these like every 4th.
Yeah, I think that would be good if you guys
11.
want it. Yeah.
So we'll do this again at like number 15.
Yeah, and I think like take advantage of it. Like you've literally got 2 coaches sitting here that are going to answer your questions.
Take advantage of us.
Take advantage of us, exactly. Email them to alice@aliceround.com or info. Either of those will come through to me. And yeah, we can answer some of these questions, which will be fun, and we're excited for it. So thank you so much, everyone that did. I hope that they helped. And the one thing I do say is we're trying to give general advice on these things. Yep. We don't know you. We want to be safe from an ethical standpoint. We're not going to go, okay, these are the exact macros you need to hit and boom, go nuts. That's not what's going to happen. So if you are going to email us and say, can you give me a macro breakdown and this, that, and the other, that's what a coach is for.
Yeah.
But general questions, help, advice, training, nutrition, go to town.
Do our best.
Exactly. You want to wrap it up today?
I think that's all right. Yeah, I think more questions next time. So any questions you can think of, just fire them away. There's no stupid question, although we might say it's a stupid question.
Oh, and also we need to get Sean to 1,000 followers on Instagram.
What am I on? I think I'm on.
Because he said he'll start doing Insta stories and he'll make them involve the dogs.
Will anyone watch me? That's the thing. There's this big hype about me doing Insta story, and then next minute it's like, oh, what a boring bastard.
We better not be boring.
Just taking morning shit. Don't know.
That's what Snapchat was.
That's true, isn't it? Yeah, I miss those days. So, I'm on 908 followers.
Oh.
So it's getting close.
92 more.
Yeah. But it's got to be consistently above 1,000. If it drops below, then I stop
Insta
it.
Story.
Exactly. So you've got steps. You can't follow me and unfollow me.
Can you give them some, I guess, incentive to follow? What do you provide at
Moisten them up a little bit?
Yeah.
What can I add to my Insta story? Well, I don't know. We haven't really thought about it. I will actually think about that. And
what will you provide to the public?
What will I provide? You said nudes isn't allowed.
No.
So no nudes, so sorry about that.
And if you DM Sean any nudes, I will repost them with your name on my Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
Back off your vultures.
What's the female version of dick pics?
Tit pic?
Tit pics, yeah.
Vag
so
pic?
We'll name and shame tit pics.
Yeah.
Vag pics.
Vag pics,
There's my veg. Suck it on.
Not many girls do it.
No.
I hope not.
I don't even know how many guys actually do it.
It's usually like creeps in other countries.
Yeah.
It's never like someone down the street.
Oh, yeah. Just your mate from the gym.
Yeah.
There's my dick. Now it's awkward. I can't tell you what I'm going to offer. Maybe, obviously, the usual stuff. Training advice, nutrition advice, what I'm eating, how I make it. I used to be a chef. So I would say one of the good things I'm going to incorporate is not to be a boring bastard with your food. Because I like to think I eat non-boring foods. So that's one thing. What music am I listening to when I train? Like, all that sort of stuff. Daily musings. What grinds my gears? Like I said, I might incorporate Ormsbeard's Get Fucked Fridays.
Okay, what's that involve?
Get Fucked Fridays. One thing that's really pissing me off that week. I love that. Ormsbeard, bring it back. But if you don't, I'm stealing it.
He probably doesn't listen to our podcast, so just steal it.
Yeah, fucking better. Get Fucked Fridays. Basically, what's pissed me off the most that week.
It's probably going to be me the majority of the time.
No, not really. Don't piss me off. It's stupid things of me. Like the other day, I was thinking about.
Oh, you get annoyed about like bagels or like someone changing the product or like a price change to meat. Like
one thing that I was thinking about this week.
What's your Get Fucked Friday tag this Friday? So you can do your first one.
I was thinking about single carport garages.
Oh God, people are going to switch off from the podcast.
This is how tangential they'll be as well.
Okay, go. I'll give you 2 minutes and then I'll cut you off.
Okay, well, single carport garage. I don't understand it, you know. Like, I had to get your mum's car out of her single carport garage, and it took myself and your godmother to not scrape up the sides of it. Get a double carport or a single and a half. Jesus. When you're building your house, allow that little bit extra leg room on the outside of your car. Yeah, a bit more girth. More girth is always better. You know, you don't mind a little bit of your car sticking out. You can always get a little bit of a veranda or an awning. But yeah, I don't get it. Single carport garages grinds my gears.
I thought it was going to be like something health and fitness related.
Oh,
oh
lemon
no, is it
peel.
just going to be general?
I hate lemon and orange peel.
I'm going to cut him off now because he's going way off on a tangent.
You don't eat a lemon like an apple. So why would you put it in a fruitcake? Tell me that. There you go. That's fitness and health and food.
But I like
Dumb.
lemon cakes.
But you eat the peel?
But you don't taste it like that when it's cooked.
There's still peel in there. You eat an apple, skin and all. Unless you've got IBS, then you peel it. You know? You're not going to eat a banana with the skin on, are you? But you know what? I'm going to...
Hey, kiwi fruit?
I'm going to grate up this... you don't, you skin it.
Not the other day, I got lazy.
Yeah, because you got lazy, yeah. But, yeah, orange, apple, this really... lemon, this really bitter thing. I'm going to stick it in this cake. What makes them so special? That grinds my gears.
All right, on that note...
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to bed because it's 11:30. And
Don't ever put that in my cake.
Okay.
I'll spit it back at you.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't care how generous it was of you to bake me this delicious cake. It's got peel in it.
I'm definitely putting it right in the middle of your cake. A big chunk of it, but you won't know until you get to the middle.
And then I'll give you the finger.
All right.
So,
now he's getting sassy, so I'm going to go.
Well, this is what you'll get
this
on
my
my
Insta story. Mean, okay? So more of this will be on Insta story. Yeah.
Random tangential gear grinding.
You realise though on Instagram, whenever I film you, you've got 15 seconds, and it takes your brain about 7 or 8 seconds to compute the question that I've just asked you.
Me.
Yeah.
You just film it, and then I'm like, what do you want?
So you realise
I've already said it.
Sean's Insta stories will be about 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Because we'll be trying to get to the point, and then we'll go off on a tangent.
But it'll be 4 hours of legendariness.
Okay, there you go. That's what you've got to expect.
4 hours of legendariness. Is that even a word? If it's not, it is now.
McLeany trained legendariness. That's not a mouthful.
Yep, there you go. A mouthful.
Alright. Thanks for tuning in to another episode, and we will chat to you next week.
Thank you kindly, and see ya.
See ya.